Peace. Welcome to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Folks, we got a great show for you. We're going to kick off the conversation giving you the latest developments in the case of Patrick Lyoya, who was killed by police in Grand Rapids, Michigan. There's been some updates about the autopsy that was done. We'll check in with culture correspondent Ashley Banks to give us the latest. Also, we're going to talk about Black entrepreneurs. We got two dynamic young sisters that's going to talk about their baking business, the trials and the tribulations, as well as the triumphs of being a young Black entrepreneur. That conversation is coming up. And then later, folks, let's talk about what's happening. Let me just make sure. Let's talk about what's going on with everything that's trending in trends, post, and doing the most. So stay with us. That's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Folks, welcome to the show. Welcome. We got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. Let's first talk about this latest situation, the latest developments in the Patrick Lyoya case out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. This case, of course, is of the young Black man that was shot and killed by police at point blank range right there, right in the front lawn. In a small community in Grand Rapids. Now, there has not been too much information that's been released about the officer that has been involved. We do not know who that officer is as of yet. However, the chief of police saying that they're thoroughly investigating this situation, and that once there has been a determination that there has been some wrongful killing, that information about who the officer was will be released. I want to check in. We have our culture crew member, Hassan Giordano, that's going to be giving us some insight on this case, as well as culture correspondent Ashley Banks, who you can check her out on all major publications as she is continuing to follow this story. Hassan, Ashley, thank you so much for being a part of the conversation this afternoon. Okay, Ashley, you can hear us?
I can hear you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Ashley, first and foremost, let's look at this situation in Grand Rapids, Michigan. There was an independent autopsy that was done by the family at the request of the family's attorney, Mr. Ben Crump. And as a part of this autopsy, he had asked to employ one of the top forensic scientists to conduct this autopsy. Talk to us. What was the details of that?
That's correct. So the family had Dr. Werner Spritz. He's the person who investigated JFK's assassination and the assassination of MLK. So this man is major. And so the autopsy that was done basically revealed that the unnamed officer had his gun pressed up against Patrick's head, the back of Patrick's head, before discharging it. And so Patrick died as a result of a single gunshot wound to his head. He didn't sustain any other injuries other than being shot in the back of his head. And now the city has said that it has not released its autopsy report because it's awaiting toxicology reports. And so the family decided they were going to move forward and do their own investigation to see what happened here.
So a couple of questions. One is, I did read the report saying that the chief said that he would not release the name of the officer until it's been determined that the officer was in fact the reason that Patrick was killed. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah. So the police essentially, because a lot of people are demanding that this police officer's name be released, including the family. They're like, we want justice and we want this officer to be held accountable, and rightfully so. But the police chief has said that they cannot release his name unless he has been criminally charged, arrested, or if there's a warrant for his arrest. And at this time, that's not the case. And so the Kent County prosecutor, he stated that the state is investigating Michigan State Police are investigating the incident, and that investigation is supposed to be completed next week. And once it's complete, the prosecutor will then review the findings and decide whether he's going to bring criminal charges against the officer. Now, the prosecutor has cautioned the public and said that it could take some time before he comes to his decision. And so he knows how much people are wanting to see this officer to be charged, but he's simply saying, hold your horses. It's going to take a while. I'm going to take my time to figure out whether this officer should be criminally charged. But the Attorney General, Dana Nestle, she simply is saying that she believes her office is more equipped to handle this case, simply because she says that prosecutors are usually really close to officers. They usually have a close relationship to officers, and she doesn't want this prosecutor's relationship with officers to taint his decision. But the prosecutor said he doesn't have a personal relationship with this unnamed police officer and believes there's no conflict of interest here.
So what's the purpose of the toxicology report? What are they trying to prove with that?
So they haven't said, but a lot of people are speculating. Essentially, they kind of want to justify why Patrick was shot, to give law enforcement another reason as to why the officer could have discharged their weapon. But anybody watching that video can tell you, no matter what the toxicology report says, that this shooting was not justified by any means.
So because I mean, when I read that they're asking for that toxicology, the first thing was, oh, they're trying to create a evidence for a justifiable homicide. Even though the officer, if you see, I'm gonna be honest with you, I couldn't watch it. I could not personally watch the video. I mean, I saw bits and pieces. I saw the run. I saw when he's on top. That's when I had to stop. Because it's just too much. Personally, for me, it's just too much to see that. But one of the most common defenses by police officers, and I believe it was, and I have to pull up who said this, whether it was a prosecutor or a lawyer, but one of the most common defenses is that, oh, the officer will say, oh, I felt in fear of my life, so therefore I had to use my service weapon to try to defuse the situation.
Right.
Can that be used in this case, considering this officer was laying on top of Patrick, and considering that Patrick's face was face down in the grass when he was shot and killed?
No. So Farajii, I have watched the video several times just to basically, I wanted to see for myself what was going on here. There are a lot of mixed messages, inaccurate information that's floating around the internet, and I just had to see for myself what was going on here. And so from what I saw in the video, there was at no point the officer felt like he was in danger, or it could be perceived that the officer felt like he was in danger. For one, the officer pulled Patrick over because the license plate that was on the car did not match the plate that should have been on the car. And so Patrick's outside the car. The officer's telling him to get in. Patrick is not aggressive. Nothing's happening at this point. And the officer then asks him if he has a license, to which Patrick looks at his passenger and says, hey, help me essentially get my license. And then at some point, Patrick starts walking to the front of the car, and that's when the officer grabs him. Patrick's not under arrest. Patrick is not threatening the officer. He's unarmed. Nothing is happening. And so police experts have stated that this officer escalated the situation. And so right after the officer grabs him, that's when Patrick starts running, leads the officer on a chase, and they get into this scuffle. But essentially, the person who probably feared for their life was Patrick, not the officer. Patrick had his back towards the officer when he was grabbed, and then he had his back towards the officer again when he was shot in the back of his head. Now, not a lot of people, but people who I would say are pro-police and against the Black Lives Matter movement have stated that Patrick grabbed the officer's taser. And that's not what happened in the video. The officer pulled out his taser And what Patrick did was he touched the taser and moved the taser away from his body, away from Patrick's body, so that he didn't get shot with the taser. It was a natural reaction. If somebody has a weapon pointed towards you, you're going to put your hand up or you're going to do whatever you can to protect yourself. At no point did he try to grab the taser from the officer. He tried to shield the taser away from himself. But some people were trying to justify why the shooting took place and saying that Patrick tried to take the taser away from the officer to shoot the officer and threaten the officer's life. But none of that took place here. So no, the officer is not justified. And in 1985, I'm just going to bring in some law. The Supreme Court, it ruled that police officers may not shoot a fleeing person unless there is probable cause to believe that they are in immediate danger. And that is not the case here, Farajii.
It is certainly not the case. And this is such a really sad case, Ashley. This is, I mean, when I heard about it, and then, like I said, I just thought, and it's very, very sad because we had Dr. Tyrone Powers on the show just a couple of days ago, and I posed a question that was asking national, news, should there be a rethinking of how traffic stops are done? And when you see some of the fatal shootings, Sandra Bland or, Walter Scott or any others that, I mean, from a simple traffic stop to a situation where a man is shot in the head at point blank range, execution style. Keen, I want to pull. Let me just share with you what Attorney Ben Crump said about the autopsy and the cause of death of Patrick. Check this out. This is what he said in his statement, folks. This independent autopsy report confirms what we all witnessed in the horrifying video footage. Unarmed, Patrick Lyoya was conscious until the bullet entered his head, instantly ending what could have been a long and fruitful life. This young man and his family moved to the United States to pursue a better and safer life, yet he was brutally killed at the hands of a police officer who failed to de-escalate the situation before he took Patrick's life. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly, if anybody were to look at the video, that's what you would say.
Yeah.
Regardless of even if you want to get down to the technical side of it, Ashley, of turning your back a certain way, not responding to a question, does that really lead to getting you shot in the head in someone's front lawn?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like those type of detail, like really in the case like this, is very simple. And I know that, like in the state of Maryland, we have the Law Officers Bill of Rights. And that set of Bill of Rights protect police in some ways when there's a level of brutality or misconduct, because it allows them for police to secure a lawyer. It allows them to make a statement within, they have up to 10 days to make a statement. I mean, it gives them a lot of leeway that the normal citizen would not be afforded. And so when we look at a case like this, it's like it's pretty black and white. If people want to talk about he should have did this and that is victim blaming, like to the utmost. Yeah. And I know that one of the big things, Ashley, and I don't know if you can give us some insight on this, that that there has now been calls for the DOJ to intervene and to start an investigation around this situation of launching an investigation about pattern or practice of the Grand Rapids Police Department, that they have been I guess penalized in the past for how they've handled various cases, various situations. And so now there are a number of state officials that are calling for that to happen. Can you give us some insight about that effort?
Yeah, for sure. So essentially, the Michigan State Police, as they're doing their investigation, they're the ones they reached out to the DOJ and just saying that there is some history here where the department has participated in patterns and practices of using excessive force, and they just want it to be on paper so that there can be reform within the department. As we know, sure, the prosecutor could bring criminal charges up against this officer, but for the people living in Grand Rapids, that's not enough, right? If it's a system in which other officers are engaging in these practices, more people could be victims like Patrick in the future. And so the Michigan State Police want to make sure that this is not repeated. And so they're hoping that the DOJ will, launch this investigation. And if they find something, to do what's necessary to make sure that these officers who are a part of the department are serving the community in the way that they're supposed to. Because like you said it, and where you read where Attorney Benjamin Crump was talking about Patrick, he is a refugee from Congo. His dad brought him and 5 other siblings over here to the US in 2014. They were fleeing civil unrest in Congo and a lot of violence, and thought that they could start new lives here. And unfortunately, Patrick's father is now blaming himself for bringing his son here. He believes, he's the reason now why his son is dead. He thought that he was going to be able to create this safe haven for his son in the US. And now we see that his son has died at the hands of law enforcement. And what you were getting at earlier, Farajii, when it comes to these traffic stops, there are too many people, Dante Wright, Sandra Bland, so many people, right, who have been pulled over for minor issues and end up dead. And for what? And so today there was a report that was released that showed since 2017, 600 people, at least 600 people have died at the hands of law enforcement during traffic stops.
Dang.
And yeah, that's a lot.
Dang.
That is a lot of people. At least 600 since 2017. That's in a matter of 5 years to be pulled over for something as simple as not using your blinker or whatever. Like, that's not okay. It doesn't matter what it is. That does not equal a death sentence. And so some cities have put in place laws now where you can't just pull over somebody because of a minor issue. Like, for instance, a city in Michigan, Lansing, basically said that police are no longer allowed to pull over a driver for matters that are unrelated to public safety, such as saying if somebody had like a crack in their window. If it's not posing a threat to the public, let's not pull this person over. And so I also read about in Michigan, Grand Rapids, generally, the ACLU has sued the city on multiple accounts for some racist encounters police have had towards residents. And some are wondering if their past history when it comes to their racist actions towards brown and Black people contributed to this officer possibly running Patrick's tag and seeing that the plate was not connected to that car. But, the investigation is going to reveal all of that. And it's also very suspicious that the officer's body camera was cut off just 3 seconds before the shooting took place. And then it came back on after Patrick had been shot. And medical experts were there trying to bring him back to life. But there's a lot here, and investigators are doing what they can. Some people are calling for independent investigators, right? They don't want the city or the state or the police to be involved in this matter. They want objective individuals to investigate this case so that, the findings are fair. But we may find out as soon as next week what happened in this incident.
Here's a big concern for me, Ashley, and I'm sure this is a concern for you, that a case like this that you would deem, that you would think would be a pretty much solid open and shut case, will be kind of left in limbo because of litigation and legal, maneuvering, that we may not see a real hardcore conviction of this officer.
Right. And we've seen that time and time again.
Yeah.
As you and I both hope, Farajii, that the family sees justice, because they absolutely deserve it. There is no reason why Patrick, a 26-year-old man, is dead.
You're right. And even if, say if Patrick stole the car, I think it's important for us to kind of say this, because we we can't get into a space where we're like, oh, he shouldn't have stole a car, therefore he wouldn't have died, right? And I can remember, I think it was Mike Brown, that they said he possibly would have stole something, right? Even with Alton Sterling, he was selling loose cigarettes, right? Like doing some small illegal fraction.
Eric Gardner, was selling.
Yeah, Eric Gardner, excuse me, right?
Yeah,
Eric Gardner. And then, or you might say, or even with George Floyd, oh, he gave a fake counterfeit dollar bill. Like none of that equals getting killed. So I wanted just to put that out there, actually, just for those who say, well, he shouldn't have. Like, if your son stole a car, yes, he's wrong. If your daughter steals a car, yes, she's wrong. Do they deserve to be killed for that? Sure. So my hope is that we can keep the conversation right where it is. This officer murdered this man in cold blood, not because he had to. He wanted to. He really wanted to. You don't put the gun to somebody's head, point blank range, execution style, if there wasn't an intent to show your power. You could have grabbed your taser. You could have grabbed your baton. Hit him up against the leg. Hey, man, stop playing. Stop moving. There could have been a lot of them, but you chose to kill this man to make a point.
Exactly. And I was doing some reading. Some police experts and activists were simply saying exactly what you're saying, Farajii, is that he intended to do this because Patrick was not submitting to whatever this officer wanted him to do. By watching that video, it was very confusing as to what the officer wanted after he grabbed Patrick for absolutely no reason. Once again, Patrick was walking to the front of his own vehicle and the officer grabs him. And so once again, of course, somebody's going to run if an officer grabs you because you're afraid. You don't know what this officer is going to do because, one, you haven't done anything crazy. You haven't done anything that warrants this officer putting his hands on you or using excessive force. And so experts were simply saying because Patrick wasn't submitting to the officer was going to do everything he could to prove this point and make him submit. And so, as you were saying earlier, even if he stole the car, even if he did something illegal, he should be facing those consequences for those actions, right? And so Benjamin Crump, he said in a tweet that this officer became the judge, the jury, and the executioner. And that is not the role of the police officer. It really isn't. And so we do hope in this case that the officer faces serious consequences, isn't just charged, but is sentenced. Because we see this time and time again where an officer has killed an unarmed Black person and they're either not charged or they are charged, but they're not sentenced. And so Black Americans are sick of seeing this. And hopefully we do see justice served in this instance.
Absolutely. Ashley Banks checking in, giving us the latest on this case. Ashley, thank you so much. And we will follow up with you in a little bit as more developments come out. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Farajii.
Absolutely. Folks, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about Black entrepreneurship. Let's talk about young Black entrepreneurship. We're going to be discussing that topic with two dynamic young women that are doing some great things with their baking company. We'll have that conversation. So stick around for that. That's coming up and a whole lot more in the next hour of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, will take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood-Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Meat. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am Roland with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. I wanted to have a conversation about an issue that we often talk about, but I don't know if we can really personify. Here's why I say that. That we could discuss the issue of entrepreneurship. We certainly talk about it in a lot of different contexts, whether we're talking about it as a source of liberation, as a way for us to change the economic destiny of our community. But when you're talking about taking entrepreneurship and really, really applying it to not just to where we are right now, but to the next generation, it takes the whole idea, the whole principle to the next level. And I'm very, very excited that we have with us two dynamic young sisters that are doing that. They are taking business to the next level, and at the same time, just breaking through all types of ceilings. And even though they're going through, they may go through some trials and adversities, they are still coming out of those trials triumphant. So I want to welcome to the airways of the Black Star Network here on The Culture. We have Sistahs Sweets, and this is the two dynamic sisters of Aaron and Lena Bowman. Sisters, how y'all doing, ladies?
Hi, we're doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I am good. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. This is phenomenal to have you guys on this show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
We love your show.
We're
so
excited
thank
to
you.
be here.
Yes.
I appreciate it. All right, let's talk a little bit about you ladies are entrepreneurs. Now, first and foremost, people have a lot of views of what it means to be an entrepreneur today. We talk about it like entrepreneurship seems to be one of the big keys for Black people in particular to be in a different place, in a different space.
Right.
But you got into it very, very young. What was your thinking when you started your company, Sistahs Sweets?
So honestly, our business started based off of a love and a passion for cooking and baking. And then over time, you know, as you get older, people aren't like, oh, they're so cute anymore. You got to be about business. So like, okay, we're getting older now. So now it's about business. And so it started based off of a love and a passion for baking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then with the help of our parents, they kind of guided us and showed us the best ways to actually start a structural business. Because before it was just kind of like, oh, you want cupcakes? Oh, it'll just be $20. It wasn't really like structured.
No
We didn't
structure,
have
yeah.
You said no structure.
Yeah, no,
No
structure,
structure.
no system, nothing. So
Nothing.
as we got older, we were able to build that with the help of our parents.
Yep, got registered, and just took the steps to building like a stable and official business.
Yes.
A stable and official business. So, all right, so because some people are watching us right now from YouTube and Facebook, and they're like, you know, I see Janelle. She said, "Oh my, OMG, they're so young." How old were you when you started Sistahs Sweets?
So we started Sista Sweets when I was 10 years old. And
I was 9.
She was 9 years old. So back then it was a hobby, of course. And then we've been in business seriously for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And now I'm 20.
And I'm 19.
Yes.
So wait a minute. Hold up, yo.
Pump the brakes.
Hold up. First and foremost, you started at 10, at 9 and 10 respectively.
Yeah.
And so Aaron, you're 20.
Yes.
Lena, you're 19.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So you're almost been in business for like a decade.
Yeah,
I mean, not
do y'all think
really,
about that?
We didn't really know
honestly,
what we were doing.
I think that sounds good, but for like officially operating in a business, we'd say 3 years.
Yeah, because before it was just kind of like, it just really wasn't serious.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it was a hobby at first.
But even though even if it wasn't a hobby, I mean, even though it was a hobby, I mean, you still had to commit to it in some degree, right?
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. Yes,
We
we
did.
did.
Okay.
So 10 years.
Yeah.
Your anniversary.
I mean, you got to celebrate the wins. You got to celebrate the wins.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
10. So you've been doing it now. What happened? You say that it was a hobby. So if we for the past 3 years, what really turned the corner or for you ladies to see it from, okay, we were just doing this for the hobby to, girl, we can make some. We about to take over. You know, we could do this real big. What happened for you to make that transition?
So we introduced the singing telegrams into our business on Valentine's Day in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And that honestly just changed the trajectory of our business. That's what really just set our business apart from every other baking.
Right. Yeah, I want to stop you because before that, it was kind of like there's multiple cupcake businesses. So what's going to set us apart?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's where the singing telegrams came apart with the singing cupcake sisters. We're like, okay, yeah, we can do this. And that's how we kind of made the transition into, being serious about it. So sorry, I just wanted to add that in there.
No, it's okay. And so after we incorporated the singing telegrams into our business, then during COVID is really when our business honestly just kind of took off.
Yeah.
Especially with the singing telegrams because everybody was like cooped up in the house and people are still having birthdays. Like birthdays didn't stop.
Exactly.
So we were still celebrating holidays and stuff. So people would call us and we would bring the fun to them since they couldn't leave the house. So that's honestly like the turning point for our business. And then we have the cupcake trucks, and so it's just been great.
Like 2020 was a crazy year, and I think we're super blessed and grateful for it because a lot of the pandemic kind of hurt a lot of businesses, and a lot of businesses haven't reopened since, and so it's been a crazy ride. Like honestly,
it's been a crazy
I
ride.
didn't even think I'd be doing this with my life. I wanted to be the next Beyonce, but I mean, I guess it's good, There's still some singing in there, so it's just crazy where God just has us and our business.
All right, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. You know, I got like a ton of questions for y'all. I'm looking at the feedback that we're getting, and so many people are checking in and are like blown away that y'all are at this place. For example, Janelle, she said, look, they understand the value of not being an overnight success. Most entrepreneurs don't admit that they're actually feeding a hobby before they make the decision to transition to the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So y'all had to make that decision. That was a conscious, intentional choice that you said, you know what? This is the real deal. Did that decision come as a result of a conversation that you had with each other, or did you sit down with your parents and have, hey, mom, dad, we're thinking about really, sticking with this? How did that happen?
I think it happened mainly like with our parents. They're a great support system and they're super supportive, and it started in 2020 with coming up with the plan. Like a goal that we needed to meet by a certain month, and we came with steps to, you know, reach that goal, and we sacrificed, we put in the hard work, we reached that goal, and that's just kind of how we do it, you know. And it's just like, if you don't reach your goals, don't be disappointed, because, you know, it's never too late to reach the goal just because you didn't meet it like at that exact date. So yeah, it kind of just happened with us sitting down with our parents, and it was like go time after that.
It was like go time.
It was go time.
And then entrepreneurship is in the blood too. Our grandparents have owned restaurants and barbershops and businesses. So I feel like it would have kind of been a disgrace if we didn't come up.
We had to continue the legacy, but then take it to another level too, you know?
Yeah.
So
we already knew it had to be something. And we were like, cupcakes.
Exactly.
And singing.
Yeah.
And well, first thing, let's keep it real, ladies. Singing is in your blood.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, our mom's a vocalist, and that's pretty much kind of.
It's really just our mom, honestly.
Our mom.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry if anybody else is watching, but I would say that she gets the credit.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the most part, because I don't think anybody else in our family can really like sing.
They may think they can.
Yeah.
Everybody
so
can sing.
Everybody can sing. Yes.
But she can sing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So shout out to her.
Yes.
Right.
Shout out. We love you, Mom.
Yes.
Thank you for these voices you have given us too. And it's just amazing because, you know, you never know what people are going through. Like some people just break down crying in the middle of a singing Telegram delivery. We're like, wow, like it's the impact at the end of the day. It's really just the impact that literally makes all the hard work, literally blood, sweat, and tears worth it at the end of the day. Yeah.
So y'all made this decision, and now you're at this place. You know, one of our watchers, they wanted me to ask you, talk about seed money. Let me make sure I have. Oh, my man, brother King Lee said, how much seed money did you put into the business 3 years ago to really take it to the next level? Or was there any seed money on the table, or was that even an option 3 years ago?
I feel like I couldn't give like a value amount because I don't remember.
Okay.
I definitely think the seed wasn't really more so money. It was more so like time. I think that's like the biggest seed that was kind of deposited 3 years ago, was like
For
our
sure,
our
time.
dedication, and our patience and all that. I think that's really where the biggest seed came from. It wasn't really monetary.
Right. Even though it does cost
it
a
does.
lot of money, and you think like, you know, you might be thinking you're making a lot of money, but you got to put that much money back into the business, or it just goes out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it definitely does. But like she said, the seed was definitely time.
It was larger than money.
It was definitely larger than money for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we can give an exact number because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I know that the seed that was deposited was way more than money.
Ooh.
That's a word. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Lena. Oh, the seed that was deposited was way more than money. Come on. Love it. All right, so now the folks don't know, and I'm just going to go back to it. You ladies, you are bakers. You bake cupcakes. You bake cakes. Come on, lay it out for us, because people are like, wait a minute. They do what kind of food? What kind of dessert?
We bake gourmet cupcakes.
Yes.
We don't do cakes. That right there is from
No, we were pulling that up.
No, this was for a what was it for? An elementary school.
It was a what's the word? What is it?
I wish we could have showed you guys a better video.
I know it was a sponsored video that we did for an elementary school for like the Thanksgiving season.
Yes.
So we were just showing them. We donated cupcakes, icing, candy corn, and we showed them how to make a little turkey.
Quick, easy activity you could do at an elementary grade level. So that was fun, and just to reward the kids for great behavior. That's what it was for. And
Yeah, so we do gourmet cupcakes.
Yeah, so I forgot what
it's okay. Gourmet cupcakes, banana pudding,
chocolate covered strawberries, chocolate covered pretzels for like treat tables as well.
Yes.
We're always working up things.
Yes, so you gotta stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I get you. I know, because Aaron, I know that look right on your face is like I'm always cooking up some magic in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, always
something cooking
you
in
know
the
what I'm
kitchen.
saying? Like we go, because y'all now I've eaten your cupcakes.
Yes.
So I'm a fan.
Thank you.
But
Thank
you also have done you, and this is one of the things that I truly appreciate about the both of you is that you are aware of the trends and the diets of people, because you're not just offering cupcakes, just like, oh, here's your average cupcake.
Right.
Y'all offer some vegan cupcakes. Y'all do some gluten-free cupcakes. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know that some for larger businesses, and I'm always kind of like, you know, like puzzled when I see big companies that have not yet taken that step,
right?
Because they're like, well, and then when I talk to I talk to these managers, like, why don't you offer a gluten-free or vegan or some alternative? Well, you know, it's a little bit extra money, blah blah. And I'm like, you're a huge company, you're a big brand, like. What is stopping you from accommodating to the various diets that people have?
Exactly.
Talk to us about, you know, why you ladies decided to make that decision, and has it been fruitful for you?
Definitely.
Yeah, so Aaron's actually gluten-free, and we just have like a lot of like different like dietary restrictions in our family. So we know firsthand how it is to have to like search different things and read the back of all these labels and everything.
Exactly.
And not only that, but like getting something and it being gluten-free or vegan and it tasting like cardboard. And we were like, we need to make something for people because we know how it is firsthand, and we just want to be able to provide alternatives for people who are vegan and gluten-free.
Right.
And so we've always we've always kind of done that. Even when we were younger, we were baking
gluten-free
10 years ago.
But vegan was kind of new.
Yeah, that was new.
And then sugar-free. And then we're working on a keto cupcake because like keto is new now. So
wait a minute, hold on. Y'all got vegan, gluten-free, sugar-free, and now you're talking about keto.
Yes. We want everybody to be able to experience Sistahs Sweets. Like that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And then we have a gluten-free and vegan cupcake because some people are both
gluten and dairy free.
Yeah.
Intolerant.
Yeah. So
no names.
No names. Well, we have that as well. But I wanted to go back to what you said, Mr. Farajii, because you've literally been supporting us from the jump.
Yes.
And I remember you came and would get snowballs from us because we had a snowball stand as well. And that was before we even knew the direction of our business. And I just want to say to everyone who's watching that if you're considering entrepreneurship, it's okay to not have everything ready at the beginning. Like you're literally gonna make so many mistakes, but don't use those mistakes and get discouraged. Like literally use it as a part of your journey because it's literally gonna just help you to where you know you want to be at the end. So don't get discouraged if you don't have your 5-year, 3-year business plan. Just start with a 6-month business plan and just stick with that, and then the rest will come as you go. We're still learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
10 years in, we're still learning, and you're always gonna learn. So be encouraged because if you want to do it, you can do it. Now's the time.
Now is the time.
Yeah.
So where's mom and dad in this whole operation?
Mom and dad are kind of wherever we need them to be.
Oh, y'all tell them what to do.
The day.
Yeah, we're the bosses of them for the business.
Okay. No, I love it.
But then when we get home, the roles are completely reversed.
The roles
They're
are
the
different.
bosses of us, as they should be.
Yes. So they really just help us in any area that we need them to. With the cupcake truck, they'll help work the cupcake truck if we have to like go do a telegram in like Virginia or something and we can't obviously work the truck, they'll do that. But they're super helpful and they're amazing. They're literally just amazing. I can't wait to just make it all worth it for them in the end.
Me too.
So now that you're at this place, you're full steam ahead. First, before I get to the big question about what's going to be, what can we expect in the future, there was an opportunity that was afforded to you ladies where, you know, you're taking the brand to the next level and you're taking it all the way to Washington. You take it all the way to the White House in Washington, D.C. Talk to us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, the opportunity within itself was crazy. When we received the phone call, I'm like, okay, so wait, what is this for again? I didn't completely understand what was going on. And then I understood what was going on. I'm like, wow, this is pretty great to be a part of history and to provide cupcakes for the, first African-American Supreme Court judge.
Wait a minute, I want to make sure that everybody understand that.
Yes, we provide
your product, Sistahs Sweets.
Yes.
Your products, your cupcake, your baked goods were given as part of the great ceremony for the first Black woman Supreme Court justice when they were celebrating her at the White House.
Yes, sir.
As you say it like that, it sounds a little bit more like, wow.
Well, that's my job, Aaron.
But
let me just tell you, it's really, it's not about me. It's not about me. The reality, like I said, that, and I think that for a lot of entrepreneurs, like when you make big or small gains, every win should be celebrated, right? Because it's an opportunity to kind of like regroup and get your mind back into the game. Right. So, I mean, the fact that, you were working in Baltimore, working, hustling, grinding, then a customer, a client of yours is like, nah, these are good enough to go to the president and to the vice president and to the first Black Supreme Court justice. Right. How many baked goods did you prepare for that ceremony?
We did, well, they just wanted it into KBJ, her initials. So I think we did
about
5 dozen, yeah, because the ceremony was relatively small, and we were unfortunately not allowed to go in because they weren't allowing anyone to meet her due to high security reasons, which we did understand, but still being able to like be a part and have the cupcakes, and maybe she even had a Sistahs Sweets cupcake, like who knows. That was pretty cool.
Yes.
So what kind of feedback did you ladies receive as a result of that?
From them or just
from them, from the White House? Any staff members, anybody say?
Yes. So the person that reached out to us to place the order said that everyone loved them and that they were asking where they got them from, because the cupcakes were for the Black women in the White House. So they said that everyone loved them. They were asking where they got them from and that they'll be using us again in the future. So
I'll be looking forward to that second phone call.
Y'all want that second phone call. Were you able to join them at the ceremony, or you just kind of like dropped them off? And
we just dropped them off.
Yeah, we had to get back because we had other orders and deliveries and stuff here in Baltimore, so we had to drop them off.
Yeah,
but it was still a great experience. We were so grateful.
It was so unexpected. And
wait a minute, hold on. I gotta do this for y'all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Black women, Black girl magic. Yes. Yes. No, that's dope. I'm in like when y'all told me that, I'm just super excited and proud of you. Hey, Keena, let's pull up just a little bit of Instagram, because folks, if y'all don't know, Sistahs Sweets be on Instagram real heavy. I follow them. But you can look at it. Just you can go to Sistah, Sistah Sweets.
Yeah, Sistah Sweets.
Yeah.
Right. And just a little bit of, they always do these great videos, always are showing, who their clients are, who their customers are, and just, doing all of these amazing, like, food preparation. Now, look, here's the thing that I love. And I think this is for the entrepreneur side. Look at that. They were at Towson University, my alma mater. All right, so check it out. One of the things that I love is the fact that you actually have invested in packaging. Like, you put your cupcakes in a cupcake holder. You know how some people, not throwing shade on anybody. I'm just making a point that if you're going to present, food presentation is just as important as the taste of the food itself. I've learned that. I learned that from the cooking shows and stuff.
Okay.
But, to see it in a cupcake holder, whether it's a dozen or half a dozen, you see it in a cupcake holder, you put your sticker on it, you put little bows on it. I mean, look at a cupcake.
Thank you.
I think that like just those, just those details take your business to the next level.
Yes, sir.
How did y'all learn about those details?
Thank you.
I mean, from the start, from even when it was just a hobby, it kind of just seemed like cupcakes go in cupcake containers. So I guess that's just kind of like where that came up with that. And then it's like you see in the store, how their packaging is, and it's like that's how it's supposed to be. So for a small business, we always want to make sure, everything is top tier, and so that's what we strive for. We strive for excellence and great quality, great packaging, and our customer satisfaction is our goal at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Here's a big question, because you're talking to a national audience. Folks from all over the country are checking you sisters out. Do you ship?
Not at the moment. We do not ship,
on
but we are working on it. So I definitely recommend following us on Instagram or just emailing us or calling us just to kind of get an update for where we're working on it. We're really, really working on it because we want to be able to spread this love and positivity all across the world. So we're working on it. I'd recommend just staying updated.
Yes, because by the fall of 2022, we want to have it down packed and mastered. I know that during the summertime it's going to be a little bit tricky because of the weather and the heat. So fall 2022, stay tuned.
Look, let me just tell you something. And Ken, if we could just pull up their website, I just want to make sure that folks can see that the website. Thank you so much, bro. This is the website, ladies and gentlemen. Sistahs Sweets. They're not cute. They're not cute. That was. They branching out. They branching out right now. They doing it real big. I'm just so happy, and I'm so proud of them. And as we talk about entrepreneurship, sisters, as we talk about young people doing fantastic things, I'm sure you probably heard this, but you personify that, and that is a huge testament of both of you, and of course the people around you, your parents, your village, your tribe around you. So I'm so happy that we were able to showcase the work that you're doing and the impact that you're making. But this is awesome stuff. And however we can support you here on the Black Star Network and on the culture, y'all got me. So however whatever you need me at, if y'all need me at a taste, if y'all want to do like a cupcake tasting or something like that, I don't care. Just feed me. That's all I want you to do. Just feed me.
We got you. I think, food is the key to everybody's heart, whether they know it or not. So we got you.
Definitely.
I appreciate that. Is there any final things that you want to share with our audience about who you are, the business, anything else?
Sure.
Yes. So we're going to do our jingle for you all.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
We are Sistahs Sweets. We make sweet treats and healthy eats with the singing telegram. You all can follow us on all social media at Sistahs Sweets. That's SISTAHSWEETS. We have a cupcake truck, so we do pop-ups all over Baltimore. So you can definitely check out our pop-up schedule on our social media platform. Yes, you can also visit our website at sistahsweets.com. You can check out all of our flavors that we have. You can also order online as well.
Yes. And thank you, Ms. Farajii, for having us on the show again. We always love it here.
Yes.
You're welcome. Anytime. I'm just grinning. I'm supposed to be serious all the time. No, I'm really just grinning. I'm just so happy for you. So big shout out to the mom and dad. Big shout out to the family. But sisters, thank y'all so much for being so good for the culture. I mean, this is amazing. This is phenomenal. And we're expecting to see more things done. And of course, like I said, you can always come back to us on the culture here on Black Star Network, and we'll make sure we get the word out about the great things you sisters are doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
We
appreciate you. Good to see you.
Yes,
good to see you again too. All right, folks, Sistahs Sweets. Make sure y'all check them out at sistahsweets.com or on Instagram at Sistahs Sweets. And if you are in the Baltimore, DC area, if you're looking to get your cupcakes, your baked needs, your baked dessert needs, check them out. All right. Aaron, Lena, thank you so much, sisters. We appreciate you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, we're going to be checking in with Culture crew member, my man Rashad. as we talk about this new phenomenon right now called tipping. What do they call it? Tipping fatigue. Are you at a point where you feel like you're suffering from tipping fatigue? We'll have that conversation. Plus, we got trends posting doing the most. So stay with us. A little bit left to get through here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. I need a cupcake or something right now. I need to find me one. All right, we'll be right back.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Table with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches! Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am Roland with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Like, wow, Roland was amazing on that.
Hey, Black, I love y'all. I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
All right, folks. Welcome back to the show. I can't lie, folks. I really want some cupcakes. I really want some cupcakes, but I'll place an order. But now in this next segment, I wanted to talk about something that you and I probably have experienced, but didn't know is actually a real thing. Have you ever gone to a place, say your favorite coffee shop or your favorite bagel spot, and like you go to your coffee shop, you get a coffee, they direct you to a machine, And as you're like, oh, paying for your coffee, the prompt comes up. Boom. Do you want to leave a tip? You're like, okay, that's interesting. That's new, because this coffee spot may have never done that before. But you're like, okay, cool. Then you go to your cleaners. Thank you for your service. Boom. Do you want to leave a tip? Okay, all righty. Then you go to, of course, you might go and pick up some lunch later that day. Boom. Do you want to leave a tip? This is what Americans are finding themselves going through right now. And if you are feeling like you are all tapped out after going to 2 or 3 of your favorite, coffee spots, restaurants, even if you're picking up dry cleaning, if you feel like there's this constant request for you to leave a tip, you might be suffering from what they're calling it tipping fatigue, folks. This is very real. Tipping fatigue, meaning that now we are at a place, and because we're still in the whole pandemic of COVID-19, that now there is a constant ask that's being made to us for us to make the tip, to give a little bit more, to give a little bit extra. And so I wanted to talk about this trend for a few minutes, because this is something that I think is happening culturally, but it doesn't mean, even though you might be tired, you may not have to feel like I just want you to know, you don't have to feel like you have to tip all the time. It really depends on you as the person, and of course, the quality of service. I want to bring in Culture Crew member Rashad Staton to give us his thoughts on this as we talk about tipping fatigue. And Rashad, how often has that happened to you? Do you see that happening more and more, that people are directing you to a computer and they're like standing in your face hoping that you tip?
Yeah, I think this happens to me daily. I go up and I wake up and I get me a cup of coffee every day. And after I pay for it, even do, the Cash App, the scan, things of that sort, the next prompt that comes up before it's the whole tab is closed out is the prompt for tips, right? At that 18%, 15, 18, and 20% one. And just me and who I am, and knowing that, how important or how far along the tipping can go. I often tip at least $1 at minimum, even for my coffee. So a $3 coffee turns into $4.17. And I know that exact price because I just went this morning.
Bro,
man, that's one.
So now we're at a place where folks are asking for a tip at places where they normally never ask for tip. That's where we are at this point, right? Because everybody has been talking about COVID. Everybody's been saying, yes, restaurant workers and service workers, they deserve a tip. But I think there should be some pushback on that, because it's like, let's not put all of the emphasis on tips. How about you raise some wages?
Agreed. There has to be something back on the businesses versus the customer and those that patronize that business. It has to be that delicate balance, because like you said, we are still in a global pandemic. We are still facing our own individual economic and financial hardships that, we want to be mindful and be people of good heart. But at the same time, that's a delicate balance that, tipping out a day or so, I may tip between $10 to $20 a day. That's another meal, or that can go towards my gas. But growing up, being a son of a barber, it was times when my dad would take me to restaurants and things of that sort, and he would tip above the expected, rate. And one time, I was trying to be tight on corners, and it was time for me to tip out, and I wanted to skim the dollar. And what he said was, look, we're sitting here because of tips. Tips allow us to enjoy life. And that changed a whole nother perspective of me. So once I got into, the food service industry and directly engaging with customers, at a young age, those tips allowed me to go out and hang out with friends, allowed me to purchase the new Jordans, allowed me to buy toys that I wanted to buy for myself. So I get it. It has to be that delicate balance. And I think those that are able to should do it for those that can't. But that's a hard reality every time you go to the machines. And the new one is, it's now you can't even tip with physical cash anymore, right? Because a lot of businesses aren't taking physical cash, being in the world that we're in. So it's like, now that's an additional cost. And then when you're paying, you're tipping out with your cards or these apps. that tip doesn't process in the same day. So now you got to look up, and that $20 that you tipped out may have caused you, and it's done it plenty of times before in the past, not recently, God bless. But it caused me to go into the red. And now my account is in the negative because of tips that came out a whole week later that I didn't account for, but I was trying to be mindful in the present. So, man, it's a lot to take.
That's a good point, Rashad. That's a good point. So, I mean, there are a number of people that are looking at this whole phenomenon and saying that there has to be some relief in sight around, for consumers and for those who, if you go get your food from a different, from restaurants, like there has to be some other way to show that you appreciate the service or you appreciate, the food. There has to be, and I agree. I think that tipping is good. I remember I used to work when I was 16 years old, 15 and a half, 16 years old. I used to work in a restaurant, an Italian restaurant, as a busboy. So I break down the tables, fill people's water up, and all of that stuff. And my older sister, got me the job, and she told me, she was like, "You at this age, you're going to be your pockets are going to be bulging." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Just from tips." Now, this is years ago. This is, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, cool. She wasn't lying. Like after a Friday, Saturday night, she was like, "I'll take you home." Because I don't want you to be walking the street. People gave me so many tips, you know what I mean? Like and I got a little paycheck, but it was the tips, right? And the tips came from, check this out, Rashad. The tips came from the servers. So like my sister was a server, so she was paying me. And then you had like 7 or 8 other servers. They were paying me. Then I was getting my check. So for 15, 16 years old, I'm thinking I'm bringing home the bag. You know what I mean? like just from that. But I do recognize that maybe we need to have a different system in place nowadays because of COVID, because of the fact that living in any city in this country is expensive. So, you can't, like back in that time, a server might make $2.24 plus tips.
Right.
Because the hope was that the tips would fill in the gap of a salary or making a certain amount of money for the month or for the year, right? I don't know if that system can still be applied today. I have a friend of mine who works for a major grocery store. He said back in 2020, of course, during the pandemic, everybody is ordering groceries. He drives the truck. He gets the tips. He said that was his best year on the job. But now we're not at that place. People are back out. Things are open. All of those things. So do you think that we need to look at this whole idea of tipping in this country? Because I think it's, after a while, you can't go to all of these different places in the course of a day and start tipping people for the coffee, tipping people for your donuts, tipping people for this, tipping people for that. And it'll be like, wait a minute, hold up. And then somebody on the street is asking you for a tip. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So how do you think we should handle this?
One, I don't think the old way is broken, right? I still think we gotta be mindful, and once you give a blessing, your blessings yourself multiply, right? So I always feel as though if you're able and you have that privilege to tip, continue to do so. But I've seen that since COVID, that tip is already, majority of the time, is already included in that tab, right? And what baffles me is when they already included that 18 to 21%. To cover that cost of service, and still to see like there's a tipping option on in addition to it. And if you're not mindful of what's on your receipt, you'll tip out twice over. So it's really like, okay, now are they exploiting me off of my ignorance or my lack of attention to the details for the cost of the food or the service that you're getting? I think in those situations when it's already included in the total price, tipping may not be necessary. But in spaces of like coffee shops, little mom and pop stores, small businesses, and your local businesses, I think tipping is still necessary because it takes the over cost or the overhead cost of other things that business might not have the financial standards to take care of. And like we said, like tipping for those blue collar jobs or front end jobs where once when COVID happened, we were considering them frontline workers still need to be there to show that we're still grateful and appreciative of their services. But I think that cost in itself, every time you go and get a coffee, every time you go get a donut or those other ones, it doesn't need to be a continuous ask. Right. And I think that's one, because again, we still have those that come, you want to say panhandlers, or those that's doing underlying, bargain exchanges on the corners and things of that sort, and people that's just asking for money, we still giving that way. So by the time you look up, you didn't tipped out or gave away about $50, right?
Right.
And that's the one that hits me like, man, but just doing that, that your blessings may multiply. So I say for those that are able to do it, for those that's not, do it, give it back twofold for those that can't.
See, here's the thing this is the other part. And this is a cultural conversation, right? This is not one of those quote unquote real hardcore tangible things, but this is just because of who you are and how you grew up and how, just the cultural conversation. But if I'm like, okay, it's one thing if I'm buying food, right? So if you go to get a coffee, like, okay, you appreciate the person. Because I tip according to the whole experience.
Same.
I don't tip just because you made me a cup of coffee. I tip because you made me a cup of coffee. You were jovial about it. You look like you wanted to do your damn job. That's how I tip. I take all of those things in consideration, right?
Right.
So that's what I say. Oh, okay. If you go the extra mile, if I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to order, you're like, no problem. Take your time. Okay, that's worthy of a tip, because you're making me comfortable in this small interaction with one another.
Right.
So it's the whole experience. If I'm buying, and one of our watchers said, if you're buying a hat, my man Mike V, he said, if you can afford to spend $30 on a fitted hat, why not tip though? What am I tipping for?
Yeah.
I mean, if the hat is on the rack, hey brother, the way you held that steel pole to get that hat, brother, man, that's a hell of a way to hold that steel pole.
Yeah, I don't think Sheldon might do I tip. Yeah,
like, because
tip for that.
Like, I don't get it. You didn't prepare the product.
Right.
I'm old school. Like, if you prepare my food, I want you to prepare it with a certain spirit and energy, because I gotta eat that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm old school. I went to a spot, Rashad. This is a well-known spot, so I'm not gonna put the name out there. This is a young black woman. The sister, terrible. She gave me attitude. And I looked and I asked her, like, are you preparing the food? Because if you're preparing the food, I'm not ordering this. So I don't know. And I don't know if it's right for us to set boundaries. But if you are a cashier, not a restaurant worker, a service worker, you're a cashier, that means you're getting paid hourly. That means that your costs are being covered.
Right.
I don't know if we should make that distinction. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm skeptical of that one, right? When I purchase products, and I do a lot, even like my clothing and things of that sort is black owned or local owned, to the point that most of the time it's made to be me, or it's a certain item, and I know a lot of people don't have. And in that situation, I understand that the cost may come, a little bit more, right? Because I'm paying for something that's unique, that specifies, that fits my physique and things of that sort. And I'll throw an additional $10 or things of that sort. But to go and grab a hat off of that, I think the good brother, his intention at heart is worthy of recognition. Yeah. But I most certainly probably wouldn't not. And the other one with like the food delivery and sharing of that part, most of the time those tips are already associated in it, especially following COVID. Prior to it, yeah, you wanted to be mindful and tip the delivery person if they got there within a reasonable time. Your food's still hot, they didn't leave their straw in the car when they dropped off your drink and that sort. You want to tip them for attention to detail. but it doesn't have to be a normal thing. And a lot of times I tip at these local spaces like you because they are receptive. They know your name. They give you an individualized like welcome and greeting and things of that sort. So out of that mindset, and then when you leave your wallet one day, they may, cover it. They're familiar with your face. They figure out that you're a frequent customer and you patronize their businesses. So a lot of times, like, the continuous patronizing helps that business more than the tipping itself. Right. Yeah. And I think with this undergirding of like the increase of, minimum wage, you can't always put that on the patron and the customer. That has to be something that's already taken care of in the operational cost of that business. Right.
Yeah.
And I think
guess what? Guess what, bro? Like, and I'm not trying to sound real. I know some people might get upset with me, but if that job is not sufficient for your lifestyle, you shouldn't be working it.
Yeah, but I think that's for the culture. That's a little bit insensitive, bro.
I know it's. I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing, I'm always big on this, bro. Nobody forces you to get a job that pays low wages or that has a toxic work environment. Nobody's forcing you to be in that space, right? So if I'm walking into an establishment, don't bring that energy on me because I didn't force you.
That's correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the job you chose. And now, why you chose it, I don't know. You could be like, this is the only thing I can get, boom, boom, boom. But the point is, make people feel, and I'm telling you, I'm a huge man. Customer service is so big to me, it's not even funny, right? I'm not an ass about it, but I can be. I have my wife be like, dude, don't do it. But if you are in a situation where you feel like, oh, this job is not paying me enough, I need those tips. Then you need to, and you're in a situation like if you're selling clothes, tips is culturally, we tip people for delivery of food. Food. We tip people for that stuff because you're preparing something, right? We want you to do it your best. So yes, we understand that. But if if it's clothes, tools, some stuff that, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Very quickly. Karen said, Karen Connor, she said, eating out and buying coffee away from home is a luxury. If you prefer not to tip, cook at home and make coffee at home. I always tip based on the quality of service and how the server made me feel. Yes, I'm getting to that space right now. You're not going to make my food better than I make my own food. So I do agree with that. Carney checked in and said, eating out and many other services are a luxury. Stay home or don't partake if you don't have the money to tip. Tips are how a lot of people pay bills. Be mindful. That's also true.
Right.
That is also true. Zoe checked in and said, what about tipping on to-go or curbside orders? Yes, you could tip on that. I mean, I do. I tip on curbside orders. Again, if you're preparing my food, I want you to know that I appreciate that. That's what I want you to know. When I order food, I'm in a jovial spirit because I know that, again, that energy goes into food. That's just me. I might be the only one. Davey checked in and said, if you're not being paid enough by your employer and you're not in control of your wage, then you deserve to be tipped. Service delivery, deserve it always. I agree with the service and delivery. If you're not being paid by your employer and you might be in a wrong situation. I'm not trying to, and look, I've been in situations where you're underpaid. I understand that, right? But you don't put that on the customer or to the patron. That's my point in saying that.
Yeah, and I think
like
that
you don't bring your dissatisfaction with your job choice to the person that is supporting your business, so that way you can get money from it. It's just backwards. It's backwards.
Yeah, I think it calls into question of us knowing our power as employees, right? Or as workers themselves. Like, you can always organize, you can always galvanize, you can always work towards advancing, your employer rights and knowing, like, there's places. We just had recently last week talked about the brother that unionized from his bad experience on working for Amazon. those can still operate into, you know, our fast food restaurants, our local businesses and things of that sort. Galvanize the rest of your employers, the places where you're being underpaid and you're not being paid what you think is best fitting. If you find your colleagues that work in that same space of experiencing the same thing and disgruntled with what you offer, you know, use your voice to power. If you wake up one day and all employers decide that they can't work in this market that we have now, they will be forced to revisit that conversation and find the money if they want their business to stay afloat. Right. So I think a lot of times we have to be willing to sacrifice so that we can get the better benefit of the deal.
Right. Davey checked in and said, "You're always forced to get a job under capitalism. LOL, Farajii. What the hell are you talking about?" Yeah, of course. No. Let's look at that from a different. Let's look at that from a different perspective, Davey. Know what the hell you want to do. Then get jobs, even if they're a little bit under what you expect, but get jobs to work toward that will take you further in what your passion or what your interests are. So if you want to get into carpentry, why are you working in a food restaurant?
Yep.
Find a job in carpentry.
I'll tell you one thing, right? So
we act like we can't, like, we don't, you, how come when you're, I'm about to open up a whole can, but here's the thing, Rashad, you my guy, so we can have this conversation.
Open up, bro. It gotta be said.
At 5 and 6 years old, we ask children what you want to be when you grow up, right? Okay, fine. That changes. We gotta stop thinking or get out of the mental space that you are forced into a situation. You know what I mean? When it comes to your job. And I'm talking about, I understand that you know, bills and all that. I'm talking about your life decisions on how you want to move forward in your life.
Yep.
Be very intentional about what you want to do. You and me, we have come to a place in both of our lives, Rashad, as long as I've known you and you know me, we're very intentional. We take, you know, whether it's engagements, whether it's jobs, like we're very intentional. And I know some people say, well, everybody can't be that way. Why not? Why can't you? What's stopping you from making a decision? Everybody makes a decision.
Yeah, it's like that point of like, come on now, like know your power, claim your power, retain it. At this point, it's like, when do we continuously allow someone else to hold, you know, some type of power or possession over our lives and our trajectory and the choices and options that we make? At some point, we do have that. And if you continuously compromise yourself, you know, with the old saying is, man, you're going to either work towards building your dreams or somebody's going to pay you to build their dreams, right? And if you ain't got your dreams in order and you ain't intentional about where you want to go, you'll continuously be working for someone else that'll get the benefits out of your work, your blood, sweat, and tears and things of that sort. So like you said, when I went into my first 3 jobs, I didn't enjoy them, being, you know, 15, 16 years old, but it taught me exactly what I didn't want to do. So now that I got older, I'm more mindful of where I want to place myself, my energy, and what's going to help me reach that trajectory. Now I'm a little bit more far advanced than a lot of my peers, but that comes through my experiences of, one, knowing what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to buff tables and things of that sort for the rest of my life, saying that there's nothing wrong with that, but I know that I can acquire more and I'm worthy and deserving of more. So once you see your own self-worth, you put yourself in position to receive more than what is often given to you.
Hey, look, and whenever that happens, you know what I'm saying? Because that happens for different people at different points in their lives, right? But I hope it happens early on, because you don't want to be 25, 20s, and into your 30s, and then in your 40s, I know what I love to do. I mean, because that is even an issue. I'm going to be honest with you. That's an issue. That's not, we don't have enough time to talk about this, Rashad. I'm telling you, man, that is an issue. If you don't have a sense of who you want to be and what you want to do and type of impact you want to make in life, by the time you get to at least 30, what the hell? I mean,
I say it all the time, and you see me.
By the time you get to 30, you still trying to figure it out.
I'm like, y'all know we not slaves, right? Y'all know we've been emancipated. Like, come on, take that slave mentality elsewhere.
Man,
you ain't got to share it with me. Like, find your worth before somebody.
Come on, bro.
This world is made in a capitalistic society. You are being gained to be exploited. If you don't know how to play the game, You're going to get played by it.
Real quick, as we close out, we just talked to two dynamic young sisters, Lena and Erin Bowman from Sistahs Sweets. They started the business when they were 9 and 10. They're continuing the business at 19 and 20. They ain't have magical powers. They grew up middle-class income, middle-class home. You know what I'm saying? Stop making excuses for failures. That's what, I mean, seriously. Seriously. We can't make excuses for inaction.
Right.
I have no tolerance for that. I have no tolerance for somebody telling me you a grown-ass adult and you telling me I don't know what I want to do. You have no inkling. Now, you could be multi-talented, but only to a certain degree.
Right.
Because after a while, you if you want to be great in something, that takes time and commitment. That's a whole different conversation.
But a conversation.
If you're working in a fast food or service industry or restaurant industry, we should tip. But if you're passing me a hat or bagging up my shirt, you're not going to get a tip from me. You're not going to get a tip from me.
And that's Farajii 2 cents for the day.
Thank you for your thank you.
Thank you for your tip.
All right, we got to jump off. Rashad, my man, thank you so much, brother, for joining us today.
Always a pleasure, bro. Always for the culture. Continue being great.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. I got to jump right off, and we got to make sure we keep it into the time frame. But I love the conversations. Big shout out to Erin and Lena Bowman. Check them out at Sistahs Sweets. Also, big shout out to our culture correspondent, Ashley Banks, for keeping us up to date on what's going on with this Patrick Lyoya case. We want to make sure that we keep you informed as well. All right, make sure y'all show y'all support for Black Star Network right here at blackstarnetwork.com. Support us at all platforms, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, all of that. And, of course, make sure y'all befriend us on social media, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We just need your support, all right? As always, folks, stay tuned. At the 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time is my big brother, Roland Martin Unfiltered. Check out his dynamic show. And then just join us right back here. And tomorrow for another live stream at 3 o'clock. We just had some little difficulties, but today it was just a one day, but we're going to get back to it at 3 o'clock tomorrow right here on the Black Star Network. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Peace.